the Founder Series. I'm Carlyn Bushman, sales strategist, business coach, and founder of Pop Academy, in which Mary, our guest for today, is also a pop professor, which is amazing. This series is where we bring you behind the scenes with female founders who are doing things differently and telling the truth about how they're doing it, which we had a little bit of conversation before we jumped onto our live today. So I just really want everyone to lean in a little closer on some of the things we'll be talking about here, because so many founders are overwhelmed behind the scenes. Let's just be honest. We paint this beautiful picture. We do the YouTube lives, we do the Instagram lives, we do the podcasts, and not sure what it really looks like behind the scenes. I try to take some video behind the scenes on occasion so you can really see the messy middle, but I want us to talk today about juggling systems, spreadsheets, to-do lists that never, ever end. Today, we're breaking that down with someone who's built a career and a company around doing this better for all of us. Mary Wiegand is the CEO and founder of Boon LLC, a demand planning consultancy built for startups and young brands. She also built an innovative, women-powered company. Let's say that one more time. She has also built an innovative, women-powered company. And the reason I wanted to say that again is because we're really going to talk about that. Rooted in automation, delegation, and intentional leadership. Welcome, Mary. So good to see you.
You too. Thank you so much for having me on today.
You're welcome. I'm so glad. I know, speaking of, I know we were scheduled for last week, I think. And as things change and move, so appropriate for this conversation, right? Yeah. We had to make some changes, and we had to stay fluid and pivot with that. So yeah. I always want to also welcome anybody in our audience to put some questions in the chat. I will try to do my best to keep my eyes on the chat, and we can always ask Mary some questions live as well. Sure. So thank you for joining, and let's just jump right in. Let's jump into summer. Can we just start there? I know that wasn't one of the initial questions, but can we jump into your summer as the leader and founder and CEO of Boon, and then your team? What's that looking like for you right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so myself, my team, we are almost all women and primarily moms. And so summer leads itself to a very different schedule, which is really tough for, I think, all moms. But Boon is set up in a way that allows that flexibility throughout the year, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But summer specifically changes how we all operate when you have kids at home, right? So the way we really look at it is, how do we continue that flexibility? How do we ebb and flow? How do we blend, right? You won't hear me say the word balance, but how do we blend it all together? Because the kids are home. You're trying to drop off at camp at 9:15 and pick up at 2:15, and some kids are home and playing in the neighborhood and they need lunch, and depending on the ages of the kids, you're just trying to manage it all while keeping going at home. And obviously, I know Carlyn knows, but for the audience, I have quite a few children. So I'm the mom to 6 kids, and they are range in age from 5 years old as twin boys up to 12. So I've got a very busy household, and as I lead through Boon, I lead at home and kind of manage all the systems. Summer being a tough one, but I'm embracing it. And I think that's the other thing, and we can talk about that today too, is allowing, we talk about giving ourselves grace, but also like allowing ourselves to know that you have to have that flexibility in being able to ebb and flow. Last week when I had to email you on Monday saying I couldn't make a Thursday call was hard for me. And it's something I may not have done 2 or 3 years ago, but I knew I had to allow that space to happen and allow a way to work within my family system and our work system to navigate the changes.
Do you get nervous about, I'm going to ask you this. Did you get nervous about emailing me that you couldn't make it? No, I'm kidding. I'm so kidding. Do you get nervous, and I'm using that word gently here, when you understand or that summer's going to present itself with, not the balance? I'm glad you didn't want to use that word. Mm-hmm. So navigating the family responsibilities even more in the summer than other times of the year, right? So taking your foot off the gas maybe and enjoying that summertime with your kids. and worrying about your revenue. Like, how do you do that as a founder? And I even think about that, when you have, some incredible team members that take maternity leaves, right? I mean, we're navigating that space all the time, which is a beautiful thing across the board. Like, I would not want to work with anyone else who wouldn't understand that. But how do you continue to manage your top line?
Yeah, I do get nervous, if you want to use that word, but I really try to be planful about it. And because I've built Boon with the flexibility, with the workforce, they have amazing women who give me the best hours that they can throughout the year. I also plan for it. And right, we are a demand planning consultant agency. We are planners by trade. We live in spreadsheets. We're going to talk about how we manage all of that. I kind of plan a curve, inverse bell curve. I know that the summer is going to be down, and really, and I don't mean down in a big way. We don't try to bring in a ton of newness. Newness is hard. New clients, new projects are hard in the summer while we're all trying to navigate. We try to stay a little steadier, right? We kind of have to adjust to that. And I bookend that with really pulses of business development on either end so that me and my whole team, because it's not only about delegating, it's about navigating the leadership of allowing everyone to blend that together for how their summer should be.
Has it always been that way for you? Like, how long did that take?
Oh, yeah. So I've owned Boon almost 8 years, and I would say this is my second summer
Okay.
where I can truly, really plan to enjoy the summer. And if I go backwards, you can see a stepping stone lower and lower in terms of being able to truly enjoy it. And I think it's something I've learned as a founder and hope to teach others where like I could have got there sooner. It just took my path, through a lot of things that got me to almost year 6 before being able to like actually enjoy the flexibility that I built for others first and then actually like attained for myself.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said those two things. First of all, this doesn't happen overnight,
No.
right? So
No.
thank you for saying that and giving us grace. I think sometimes when I hear this from you, I think, oh my gosh, I need to add that to my list. I need to plan better so that I can enjoy a holiday or I can enjoy summer or I can do those things. And then the second thing you said was, it just escaped me. You were just talking about the planning and that it didn't happen overnight. And now I lost my train of thought
Well,
on
and for
that.
other, the other thing for me is I did it for others and then for
Oh,
myself
the
too.
cobbler's shoe, the
Yeah.
cobbler's shoe,
Yeah.
right? How often do we always do that? Thank you for saying that and reminding me because that's so true.
Yep.
So when you're looking at and just digging into this, what if somebody comes to you, like I'm going to talk about high growth brands here, and they come to you, in June or July, are you going to say, we'll just onboard you in September?
No. No, because Boon is also built, like in the company I've built, is we want to be the support, right? So we will at least, we have the conversation. We understand, do you need us right now? And how can we create a package that allows all the things to be as true as possible, right? So we have the conversations. We think about, right, truthfully, no, I will not take anybody until 7/14 at this July 14th, right? So I have to book out a couple weeks, especially when we're looking at a holiday coming up. I have teammates on vacation. There are hard blocks, usually 2 weeks out, almost throughout the year. But I want to be approachable to brands and I want to be able to like understand their needs but I won't take on 80 hours of work for July. Like, no, that's a hard no. I will have the conversations and I will blend it into what we have and see if they're open to a ramp up period or a quick audit so that we can start to learn their business. How can I, again, piece those building blocks together that don't have the like fire hose coming at us, but still not losing the client, losing the lead, and also holding to my mission of really wanting to support brands who want our help.
That sounds like a mindset shift a little bit too that you've realized.
For
Can you
sure.
say more about that?
I think for me, leading and when I got to myself as the founder to working on the business instead of in the business, there was the clarity of like, why am I doing this? My why of starting Boon is still really the same as how I run Boon today, but being able to bring my head up higher and see the bigger picture and understand like all the pieces are going to come together. I don't have to say yes to everything. I don't have to be everything to everyone, but I'm very clear on what Boon is, who we serve, how we serve them. And if that right piece comes to me, I try to figure out how to like fit that in. Yeah.
What is your why?
Ooh, I mean, my why start, I mean, I was the entrepreneur who started this because I didn't have a job that worked for my family. So it was out of necessity. 8 years ago when I started it, I only had two of the children of the six that I have now. Life took a couple turns in the last 8 years, but I couldn't find a job that allowed me to really use my skills in a way that felt impactful and allowed me to have the family blend, not balance, that I wanted. So I started it. So I was like, let me see if I can find a way to consult with brands who need the skills that I have from corporate, right? Leave corporate, leave full-time startup to do that. And that why has continued through my team, right? And the way I've built this amazing woman-founded, women-led team, because I have that mindset of like, we don't have to sit at a desk 9 to 5, Monday through Friday to make good impact, to be strong women, to, support brands, to use our functional expertise.
So, yeah, say more about your team and how that thread is carried through.
Yeah, so my team is amazing, as we've said about 6 times. Every single person on the team works part-time. And what's cool about that is they're allowed to build blocks their life together with however Boon fits in there. Some of the team works just bus stop to bus stop, right? They put their, when it's not summertime, right? Before
Yeah.
summer gets a little crazy, but they fit it in between, a 5-hour workday, 6-hour workday between the bus stop times. Other team members work more on the weekends, in the evenings during nap times, right? They're able to be moms, be partners with their spouses. Their spouse takes over on a Sunday and they get kind of a break from parenting and do really good work on a Sunday for Boon. It's all about giving your best hours and using the skills that you have cultivated through whatever part of your career, and not just having a part-time job, but continuing your career path in a part-time basis. And I think moms particularly is an untapped market where they have a ton of off ramps from their careers, right? There's a lot of times you can stop doing your career. You can have to shift and maybe do something that is below what your trajectory was, but there's not a lot of on ramps. So Boon is trying to give people opportunities. If you were a stay-at-home mom for a few years, but you want to come back and work 10 hours a week, if you want to be there for your kids and you want to work 25 hours a week or 30 hours a week in between those bus stop times, but you don't want the stress of full-time employment, commuting to the office, having to be held to certain times, we give that flexibility. Yeah, and that's what it's built on.
And I hear that so often, right, in our circles where you step away from your corporate position for whatever reason, like you said, whether you were downsized or redundancies, or you just didn't want to stay in that corporate space because of the lack of flexibility or whatever, there's a million different reasons. So then you're out of the work environment, or the corporate world, I should say. This happened to me for a little while, and then you're thinking, okay, I feel like if I want to re-engage in that corporate world, what is that going to look like and what is that going to take? I've been out of it, and with technology, so much moves so fast, I feel like I might not be very up to date on my skill set in that space. So I love the idea of Boon as an on-ramp to continue your career and or feel like you can make a contribution personally and professionally, across the board. There's that sense of purpose, right? And all kinds of things you're providing for. I do have a question from our chat here, and I'm just going to drop in and ask this right now. Being someone that is building a business that is flexible, do you have a process for staying personally connected to your business and team?
Ooh, personally connected to the business and the team. Yeah, we all work asynchronously, right? So meaning like we're not all at the same time. We are across all 4 time zones in the United States, as well as one teammate in Europe. So I have to do a lot of time zones. And a good portion of our team is 1099 contractors, which is awesome for benefits in the way of how they can flex, but it actually means I can't require them to be at a team meeting per se. I think the way that, given all of that, I still can cultivate a connection point, cultivate a culture within, and gives me that personal connection is through being human and in talking like I'm talking to you. I talk to the team. I tell them what my vision is for Boon. I talk to them about why, this particular client is really exciting. And I also encourage collaboration between them. Whether you're in California or New Jersey, my teammates get together on Slack, and we can talk about systems too, but we utilize Slack. It's a simple system, but it allows us to talk back and forth. It allows us to give that real-time communication, and it allows us to have a little bit of personality, right?
Yeah.
We've had custom emojis. We send little gifts back and forth. We actually implemented something called Matter, which links into Slack, which celebrates our birthdays. It sends our Boon anniversaries for the date you started, and it celebrates the Boon anniversary to the team. That allows just that little bit of fun. And then we do things to try to get together in person twice a year. We usually hold it here in Ohio where I am. I pay for the team to come in, have a day or two to be in person. We will do lunch and learns and coffee and learns that are optional, where if you want to get on virtually with everybody, say hi. We also send out an internal newsletter. It's designed beautifully, just like all the Boon branding. My marketing director does a fabulous job about it. And it's just internal, so everyone kind of knows what's going on with everybody else. Sometimes it has fun little trivia, but it doesn't go anywhere external. You'll never see it on LinkedIn. It's all about that internal culture. It's something I'm very passionate about, as you can see, but I do think that regardless of the flexibility, regardless of the geography, if you want to create that culture and you put the effort behind it, you can do it. And it also helps with what we're really talking about today, in that delegation, in that automation. If people trust you, my team will go to bat for me on Boon in so many ways. They are protective of it almost as if it's their own, because I give them that insight into what we're doing. I bring them into the decision making when appropriate, right? And talk to them about the future and the struggles, and I'm human with them about it.
Well, you're very relatable and easy to talk to. So I can only imagine how your team is protective of you and enjoys working with you. How many team members do you have right now?
I want to say the total is about 14. Yeah.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
Yeah.
And
all part-time. So it varies how much they're
Sure.
working week to week. Yeah.
So let's dig into some of those back-end systems internally. I love the idea of an internal newsletter. That makes me think, I used to send out a once a month, here's the status of what's going on. And that fell off the radar. Imagine that, right? So I'm thinking about that. I love the idea of, Matter, which is linked into Slack. That's brilliant. I love that idea too. Talk to me about some of the things that you automate or you delegate, or where do you still have to insert yourself and make sure you're reviewing things? What does that look like for you, Mary?
Yeah, so in today's world, I feel like I've got it in a decent place. And I will say, from a leadership standpoint, I try to create the system, but not over engineer it, right? I don't want to force things in that aren't going to work just to put a system in place. So for us, we are a consultant agency. We work with a lot of clients in any given month or week. And a lot of these team members are touching different things, right? So one of the biggest things that we've put in, and probably the thing that changed the base level work the most for me, was a project management system. We run on Asana, right? Whichever one you use, there's lots out there. I've tried a couple, but ultimately it's about a way to store the information, manage that project, see the project timeline, archive all the history of that particular task in there. And it's something for me as a leader and a couple of my other senior leaders on my team. We don't have to talk to the team members. We can go into Asana, we can review. We do a project per client, and then within that, there's projects underneath, sub-projects underneath. If I want to check on client ABC, I don't have to call anybody. I don't have to have a meeting. They don't have to send me a status update. I just go in there and look, right? I see what's happening. I see what might be past due. I see where questions are being asked. They can ping at me or someone else. The other thing that it allows us to do is hand work off even among the team. So you get an assigned person on an Asana task, but hey, so-and-so's out on vacation next week. Can you take this task? By just reassigning it in Asana, comes to me, right? So we didn't operate on that for quite a few years in the beginning, which now the team looks back and is like, how did we manage who was doing what, and that it actually got checked off without it? It just helps, the big load of all of that core workload like has to get off of me. And for a long time, I was funneling it, and funneling it wasn't working. Like the clients were talking to me, I was funneling it out to the team. The team was telling me I
Yeah.
was funneling it. No. And some of that is
Mary,
natural.
can we say you were the bottleneck?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I know that was my problem. That was my problem. And some of it is, I don't want to say that, founders should feel that happens somewhat naturally because clients came to Boon in the beginning because of Mary. And I had to
Yes.
separate that out. You need to come to Boon, not to Mary.
Yeah.
And I did have to pull myself away. Um,
How'd you do that?
yeah, I was just, I think the harder part than the system, right? Having the system in place is important, but being able to delegate and know where I need to be and where I don't need to be is hard. And for any, if any
Is
of
it
my
still
team,
hard? Is it
it's
still
still
hard?
hard. I was gonna say, if any of my team happens to catch this live or in the next couple of days, today literally was a day where this morning I got myself pulled back into work and it didn't go the way I should have. Like I should have stayed out, right? Like that's a lesson for me again. Sometimes I can try to help and it doesn't end up being what it should be because I'm removed and reinserting myself doesn't always work.
Okay, I'm going to share something really quick
Yeah.
here because I think this was I want to say it was a Brene Brown thing,
Ooh.
but I remember once reading, and I feel like it was Brene Brown, where there was this scenario where one of the participant or one of the employees went to do a presentation to a large group of people, and they came back and they said the presentation wasn't well received or whatever, and this employee was telling her boss, and she's like, oh, the presentation didn't go that well, they weren't really paying attention, it wasn't well received. And the boss or the manager at that point said, what you wanted to do was go talk to the group that received the presentation and confront them and say, what is wrong with you? This was a great presentation. Why weren't you giving her, the time and attention to listen to what she had to say? But instead, she said to the employee, okay, here are some things I would do to follow up with those that you presented to find out why they didn't pay attention to your presentation or whatever it was. It wasn't the outcome you expected because, for whatever reason. So that's what I feel like sometimes happens. When I see a scenario drop into my inbox because I've been CC'd on it, the first thing I want to do is respond with my thoughts and CC everyone back to say, okay, let me tell you how this is going to work, or this is what the questions I have. But I've had to pull back and say, no, the person who's responsible for this, I
Yes.
really should have a conversation with her. And then she has a conversation with the client, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's hard to see it in my situation wasn't the email pop up today, but that is something I've also done. I auto archive some of the emails that come in my inbox. So I don't see them. I tell my team, if you need help with this part of this client, I'm not looking at them. You reach out to me if you see something that you need my help on. I'm not even looking at them, right? The particular,
Brilliant.
if the subject is this from this person, it just auto archives. I know I trust my team, right? And that's back to the delegation and setting up Asana and feeling like I can build a great team. I trust them to a point where I can auto archive certain things. Again, got myself pulled is not perfect. I'm not on a pedestal here. I still make mistakes and get myself in situations where I could have avoided being in the weeds. But no, I auto archive those.
Do you get nervous about what gets sent there? Like, what if I'm a client and you've auto archived my stuff just because I'm working with somebody else on your team and I CC'd you on something? And then what if you don't see it?
I'm very prescriptive. So it's like it has to come from this person and have this subject line. So again, I'm not as blanketing as I make it seem. I'm like, I know the little pieces of the business that I don't have to see.
Okay.
And that's okay. One particular client, I've talked to, like that client, they CC me on everything still, but I don't need it. I don't need it, right? So I wouldn't take that blanket of approach where just because another Boon team member CC'd that I auto archive it. It has to know that it's a part of my process that is well delegated, that is in a more of a rhythm, that it doesn't need me.
Are there things that you have a really hard time delegating?
That's a good question. I have a high standard, I have a high bar, and I know the rule, like the 80% rule, right? So like, And I believe in it fully. And it's something that resonates in retail. Like the world I live in, the 80% rule shows up all the time. And in delegation, I think I live by that, right? If I can hand it off to somebody and they can do an 80% job, that is ultimate success, and that 20% will come. I think truthfully, I have a hard time handing it off and really understanding, did they hit 80? Was it really like 60? Can I train them to 80? And I want it done. And so I can be a little bit, I have to like kind of hold my fist on those moments and be like, okay, like let it learn through a little bit. But if I can see the 80, I know I can hand it off. And that was really a big thing for me about 2 years ago, as I said, getting in this better blend is trusting the 80% rule, trusting that they'll get there, trusting that the clients aren't coming to Mary. They want Boon. And if I pull myself out, they'll stay with Boon, not with Mary directly.
Yeah, that's really, really hard, right? Because you're the biz dev person, I'm guessing. I mean, I know you as the biz dev person, but you do, and I know you have a marketing person, but you're the one that shows up at the trade shows and the networking events, talking about Boon so much, right? And so everybody, like you said, everybody associates it with you, and then they want to work with you. But it's really nice that you've started to find that blend to shift to some of the team stuff. And you and I both work in the product space so much, right? And we see founders, and I mean, we see this like every day. I'm sure you see this. Like I feel it, I see it, you feel it, you see it. The struggle with like time management, finding that nice blend during different seasons of our business and what that looks like. Keeping our foot on the gas to some extent on revenue because we want to stay in business, right, and grow.
Yep.
So what are the most common back end system mistakes you see the founders making, like from a client standpoint?
It's a good question. And I think on the struggle, and I say this to my product founders, they have an incredibly hard job, and I give them such like accolades for doing what they're doing. Bringing a product to market is not easy. And I think the struggle is they are sold to day in and day out. And like you and I as service-based providers are also sold to, but the product-based businesses are inundated with what they need. You need this, you need this, you need this. And the struggles I see and the mistakes that are made is shiny object syndrome, right? And thinking that shiny object syndrome is gonna fix immediately what you're going to do. And I will tell you, so it's more about the assumptions of the system and the back end expectations than exactly, I can't say like, oh, I'm like thinking of what I have in there. Like, get your Calendly out, or make sure you're on Squarespace or whatever, QuickBooks. It's not about that. And it's not about I'm in the demand planning side, but what I see is they implement something, say a Shopify app store drives me crazy sometimes. Like they implement some Shopify app widget that they think is going to solve everything. And it's not. You can't set it and forget it. You can't just pay. If there was a magic wand and there was a like fortune teller, I always say like, I'd go play the lottery. Like forget this job, right? No single system is just going to fix it. So don't assume it's going to fix it. Really understand, what is my problem? Do I have the right personnel in to even manage it? Not as their job, right? But you can't just let something run and it's going to just order your inventory appropriately for you. And then
I think I'm going to give an example of that too, Mary. I see that from my product space too, and the education and things that we provide in Pop Academy.
Yeah.
Which you so graciously are an adjunct professor in it. So thank you again, once again. I love, I learn from you every time I listen to you teach everybody inside of Pop Academy, by the way. But like, let's do something like a heat map, right? Hotjar, or I'm trying to think of the other one off the top of my head right now, but they're great to put on your website, your Shopify site or something like that. They're great. They give you so much information as a widget or an app that you can load on top of your Shopify site. But if you don't, it's not going to just do the work for you. You have to look at what the heat map is telling you, and then you have to look at it, and then you have to execute on the data it's giving you. So if it's saying people are hanging out here longer, or they're clicking this more often, or they're not even looking at your hero product for some reason, that's such a great opportunity, but if you don't look and spend time and
Right.
do something with that, right? But to your point of shiny object, they're like, oh, it's not working, it's not doing anything. I'm like, well, yeah, but wait, what? Yeah.
Right. No, I mean, and I think the second part of that is that you have to evaluate, right? And so where I spend my time now, kind of circling back to that, is I'm looking at the whole business. I'm looking at all of our back end continuously. I might be one of those, I'm a leader to make quick decisions, right? I am not one that sits and waits. So I don't want shiny object to come off sounding like you can't just make a decision, because I do. I look at things, I know what we need, and I make a decision. And I'm then continuously e- e- um, evolving and making evaluations on it, right? Because the thing that served you may not serve you again. We've had plenty of back end systems that we thought about and like, well, we've outgrown that, or we need something different. Um, and it's this certainly for the product founders, like that just changes every quarter, every 6 months. And you know me, you got to know your number. So I look at like, what are we paying for this thing?
Yes.
Is it worth it for that? Because certain things, yes, I'm like, I would pay even if they go up 20% in their cost. I won't say who, so they don't come after me. But some things I'm like, ooh, this is on the cusp. Like, are we using the value of this? And I will also bring that back to my team. Not from the cost perspective per se, but hey, team, do you like Matter? Is it something that matters to
yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Is this important to you? Because I can assume, and I'm close with my team, but like assuming is also gets you in major trouble. So evaluating, leading from that standpoint, like really high level, looking at how everything connects together and trying to look into the future, right? Not just right now. Like, what do we need for the end of the year? What do we need for 2026? Um, as product founders do with their inventory with us,
Right.
but even from a
Right.
system standpoint and back end. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's really smart. I have something set up now. I use ClickUp for a lot of our stuff. And what I have set up on a repeated basis, on a quarterly basis, is I list all my tech platforms, how much they cost. And that way I've got one place to go outside of my profit and loss statement, right? To say, okay, I put all the dates of renewal in there as well. And I'm like, okay, team, these are all our current platforms. They're, this one's getting ready to renew on, September 12th. This one's getting ready to renew on whatever day it might be. Okay, so what do we do with that, right? Are we using it? Are we actually exhausting all its features and benefits? Because there might be some duplicity there
Totally.
too. So I think it's really good to do that. Amazing. So if I were to ask you, what's one tool, since we're talking about systems so much, would you say that Asana is the one tool that's completely changed how you run your business? Or I feel like, or is it not a tool? Is it because we've talked a little bit about the mindset shift on this stuff. Maybe it's not a tool. You could have any tool, but what is the one thing that's really shifted your business in the last 2 years? Let's use that.
Yeah, you're right. Is it a tool? Is it a mindset shift? I mean, Asana for sure was a instrument that allowed the delegation. For us, we also use a time tracker, which I think was another very critical way that I can understand how the time is being spent of my own. And I was resisting to use it before my team. My team used it to allocate like their time by client, and then I use it for myself. And being able to put it myself in the mirror and understand how I'm spending my time was really big.
What time tracker?
We use QuickBooks Time, so it just integrates back into QuickBooks. Again, probably could evaluate it. Team likes it. Also, I try not to change things if it's not working, right?
Right.
Just to make them learn something new to not work. So I think those two together, like project management and time management, like time tracking, was really powerful. But the system is really probably Mary's mindset shift in being like, let it go, and trust your team. Because I've built a really strong team. Like, I'm not saying I'm handing these things off just to anybody, and that's not the way Boon operates. We really, really, really work hard to build the team and that collaborative culture, but having those little bit of back end systems allows me to feel comfortable that I can touch and feel what's going on without being ingrained in it. So, yeah, those two.
Yeah, I think there's so much, as we say, entrepreneurship is a journey in personal development. And I think there is so much to be said for that, like the things we learn along the way about ourselves and those,
Yeah.
and about those that we surround ourselves with as well, and having people to lean in and talk to. And I consider you, one of my one of my resources, one of my mentors in the space. I love when I have an opportunity to talk to you and connect with you on so many different things. You've done an amazing job. I have one last question that is,
Sure.
I pull from a deck, and I have to say, there are my cool to connect cards, and giving a
Okay.
shout out to the founder of this brand. Let me see, I met her, Smash and Tess. I met her in Toronto at the Kristen Bartold High Vibe Conference. So
Oh, love
she was
that.
amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. So the one card I just pulled for you as our last question for today is, what is the driving force that motivates you on a daily basis?
Oh gosh. It has to be the one driving force that motivates me on a daily basis. There's so many. How do you say one? I mean, I think it's like the being a female founder and like women empowerment to that, and it resonates into being a mom, being leading Boon, what I've built for the team, all of that. For sure, it's got to be female founder.
I love that. And I love how you're leading by example and you're embracing what you not only expect from others, but you do that for yourself as well. And instead of the balance, I like the blend. So,
There's no
Mary, thank you. Thank you for walking us through really what's going on behind the scenes at Boone
balance.
and in the life of Mary. Your company is like high performing, so respected. I know when I share about Boone, everybody's like, oh, nothing but positivity for sure. So, where can we find you? Where can we stay in touch? And where can we find you, but also give you some grace over the summer?
Oh, of course. Yes. Thank you for that. I mean, you can find us in most of the places directly at our website, boon-llc.com. On LinkedIn, we try to have a very heavy presence on LinkedIn. Boon LLC. You can email me directly, mary@boon-llc.com. Yeah, it may take me a few days to get back to you. You can contact us on the website. We do have an Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram, but LinkedIn is probably like our more heavy presence for us.
Well, if I email you, I hope it doesn't go to a folder. Let's just.
It won't. It won't. It
I'm
won't.
kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's what No Gatekeeping is all about. Real strategy, real stories, and women founders telling the truth about how things actually run. We'll be back next Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time with another episode. So don't forget to subscribe. It's been wonderful today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.